Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to the Friday night update. How's it going out there? Hopefully everyone's enjoying their Friday night. The weekend is upon us. Going to be quite a wet one out here in California as we have a pretty decent storm system coming up here. Latest activity looks like a 4.3 earthquake out in Texas. What's shaking out there in Texas? Outside of the San Antonio area. Northwest here of Corpus Christi area. Been out here numerous times when I'm storm chasing in the springtime. Looks like a little bit of activity here tonight, specifically in this zone here. And I don't think I need to tell you guys what's out here. It looks pretty obvious, at least here on the map. Quite a few oil fields out here around the Falls City, Texas area. Let's see who felt that earthquake. I'm sure they did. That's a decent sized earthquake. Quite a bit of, not a whole lot of did you feel it responses, but they did report some, looks like some strong shaking there around the epicenter. I mean, if you're underneath a 4, or if you're above a 4.3, as far as the epicenter region goes, it would definitely feel like a nice jolt. So a few folks did report feeling that earthquake there that just came in here at about, looks like about 10:20. They did have another earthquake here prior to that, 3.9. So let's take a look here at the satellite view just to reconfirm here what's out here. Striking down there. The first one was about 7 kilometers. This most recent one, very shallow there at about 3 kilometers. And as you can see, it is just right outside this town. Very small town. Actually, it looks nice. I love all those Texas towns. I always like to take the back roads out there and see all these little towns in Texas. Pretty neat. So there's some waste. These are ponds, or not ponds, but tanks, right? Holding tanks here for the natural oil process out here, removing the oil, obviously, from the ground, pumping operations. And I'm sure there might be some wastewater disposal ponds out here as well. But definitely looks like it's within literally feet of at least one of these pumping operations out there in Texas. The other earthquake, that's going to be the 4.3, but the other earthquake down here, just a slight distance, and literally very close in proximity to another holding tank out there. And this area is just littered with them. You can see them out there all over the place. They're the little checkered white marks out here on this map, and there's quite a few of them out there. So it looks like specifically this region getting a little bit of pressure going on here across the North American plate, affecting these weak areas out here in the Texas region. So we'll continue to watch that. Outside of Pecos, Texas, this here is always getting earthquake activity. Satellite view does show, you have to zoom in. Doesn't look like much, but as you zoom in here, you can see some of these pumping operations out there in this area, the desert of Texas. And so quite a bit going on out here in terms of the oil pumping operation. There's a nice little blue wastewater disposal pond next to quite a few holding tanks here. So anyway, Texas definitely rocking and rolling out here right now. Let's see what else we got here across the rest of the country. An explosion out there, 1.9. Looks like that may be some type of quarry blast up there around Princeton, Canada. This earthquake earlier this morning here was outside the Seattle area, fairly deep into this region. Might want to watch that. Looks like these two earthquakes were prior to that, but we have been seeing quite a bit of tremor activity out here recently. So let's go check out the tremor along the Cascadia subduction zone. That does play a part on what goes on here at the surface levels and also below, and ultimately does affect the volcanoes here across the Cascades. 553 epicenters of tremor. That's a decent uptick here. I think the last time we seen something of that magnitude was back in, looks like about May. The May time period or so last year. But we're not quite up to par yet in terms of seeing a large event, in terms of the multitude of tremors out here. That last took place there in October of 2022. You can see the graph up here. So we'll see if this just goes up a little bit and then goes back down. But it's been a little while since we've had a decent amount of tremor. And that, this ain't bad. 553. That tells me that the subduction up here is continuing. This is kind of like a slow slip event. It's basically what it is. It's not any type of earthquake activity. Here's the M energy released over here, equivalent. And that's quite a bit, 553 there. Vancouver Island Range, Washington area, and a little bit there in Oregon. So we'll continue to watch this area here. A lot of times when we do see tremor downstream into the Cascadia subduction zone, which sits just offshore, right? That's where the subduction begins, but it extends and goes underneath the North American plate here. So fairly deep levels. You get the Cascade volcanoes up here. And we'll continue to watch that, see if anything gets elevated here following this movement. As far as California goes, noticing Northern California, not a whole lot going on up there for now. Just some smaller microquake activity. But down here in Southern California, looks like we're getting a little bit of activity still here in the regions that have been swarming. And the areas that seen a couple 4-pointers here over the last week. So continuing to watch that. I don't think we're done yet. It's been kind of a day or maybe like a day and a half of just calm conditions out here, but it looks like we may be starting to pick back up. So we'll continue to watch that maybe for some further movement out there in Southern California. Outside the Milford and the Beaver, Cedar City, Utah area, quite a bit of earthquakes going on out here, quite a bit of swarming going on out here in a little localized area of Utah. As far as what's going on out there, wow. What is going on out there? Interesting. Just happened to find what looks like... What is this out here? I don't know if those are... that looks a little odd here. Anyone know what those are out here? I'm going to look at this here in a minute. I'm going to grab the longitude and the readings here, and I want to see if I can open that here real quick and put it in, see what's out there. Google Earth will provide a little bit better view of it. We'll let that load up for a second. I have a bunch of different stuff that loads up with the Google Earth program, so we'll let that load. But yeah, there's a little swarm going on specifically around this section here. I don't know if this is a newer operation out here. Like I say, I don't even know what these things are. It looks like some windmills here. I do see quite a bit of those windmills. Is this some type of power station out here or what? But the thing is, this kind of looks like a pond or something, or maybe a deep hole in the ground. But let's go see what's going on out there. Let that load real quick. Got a couple different things that slows it down right from the start, so I try to keep it running in the background, but I just reset the computer this morning, so I forgot to bring it up. But I'll give it a second to update here, and it should any second. I'm kind of curious to see what that is out there. If you happen to know what it is, let me know. Maybe we'll find out here once this loads up here. It's definitely taking a lot longer than normal here. I'm not for sure what's going on here, but maybe they don't want me to find out what it is, so we'll freeze up his system. We'll check back on that in a second. I still have the coordinates there, but maybe these are some type of power station out here in terms of utilizing the energy here that comes from these windmills. That's what I'm guessing. Maybe some type of solar farm. It looks like, but this looks like a I don't know. It's just really weird looking. All right, so enter this in here real quick and see what's out there. Again, it's out in Utah, and there's a decent earthquake swarm occurring specifically out there by this region. So upon closer inspection, this looks like some type of man, those look like some type of tanks right there, but that almost looks like it's in development. Whatever's going on there looks like it may be in a stage of development, but that looks like a pond, like some type of wastewater pond, right? That almost looks like plastic, some type of plastic here with I don't know. Does anybody know what's going on there? Let me check the live chat here real quick and see. So All right. That's a little odd. Some big outfit out there that's kind of creating some earthquake activity. Here's something in regards to it. Environment Renewable Natural Resources here in Milford, Utah. So obviously it's some type of energy accumulation out here, and I'm guessing from the windmills. So some type of power plant. There's a solar plant right here, so that's what it is. But why would there be an earthquake swarm out there, right? I thought we kind of got rid of the earthquakes there when you switch from pumping operations to solar. It's a little weird. So if anyone's got any relevant information out here, let me know, because I find that quite strange there that we have some earthquake activity out there. Decent swarm, and it's like specifically around this area here. So somewhat shallow, looks like about 2 kilometers consistently there in the area. Hopefully they're not stirring up some type of volcano out there. You never know. 51 earthquakes here in the last 24 hours. I did not even notice that this morning when I did the update. Kind of hard to tell unless you zoom in specifically, right? From here, kind of looks like just maybe a couple earthquakes out here, but yeah, it's a decent swarm. So we'll check back on that, get a little bit more information on it, and report back tomorrow. But yeah, goodness. All right, what else we got out here? Yellowstone National Park. Let me double check that here real quick. Don't want to jump over it because the time that I do, could be something going on. But for the most part right now, there doesn't look like a whole lot of activity. There is this signal right here. I believe is going to be that earthquake in Texas. It does line up with the time frame, and it's a distant. Kind of hard to tell. It looks like it's definitely a distant earthquake. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if that's it or not. None of these other stations here are really showing it, but either way, earthquake activity, not a whole lot going on here across the Yellowstone area for now. Up into the Alaska area, 4.2 coming in within the last hour or so. Aside from that, general small microquake activity across the Cook Inlet region up towards the Denali area. This area is definitely seeing quite a bit of earthquake activity, but mostly microquake movement. Out here in Hawaii, out in the beautiful Big Blue Pacific, what do we got? 19 earthquakes. Anything of significance out here? Doesn't look like it in terms of the activity. Let's go ahead and go check that out here real quick across the Kilauea volcano. It's been of some interest here recently with a large displacement of magma from the summit off to the southwest rift zone, and it's just kind of disappeared since then. Probably out here across this area. As far as earthquake activity goes, not a whole... Oh, here we go again. I don't know what it is. I click on it, it just goes away. I know it's not supposed to. It's supposed to pop up. So I'm going to have to... let's see what's going on here. Something's just really weird. Blocked. It is blocked. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why it does that on occasion. It's just really weird. So, but looking at it here, at least from this point, doesn't look like there's a lot of earthquake activity, but it's kind of hard to see the time on there as far as the if these are recent or not. So we'll have to check back here a little bit later. I'm not going to go back and forth all night on this. I'm just a little irritated with that when it pops up like this. All right, tilt meter, is it going to work? It's going to show us. Oh, yeah, but I have it bookmarked. I do have one of these bookmarked out here, the UWE tilt. This is the 30-day one here, but it looks like on the 2-day, it looks like we took a decent inflation event up here. But I don't know what's going on here. I'm not even going to cover that right now, but as far as earthquake activity, at least looking at all these seismograph stations, they don't look completely active right now, just kind of quiet. All right. Goodness. The rest of the Pacific out here, as far as the western Pacific goes, mostly some earthquake activity throughout the morning time period. Haven't really seen any renewed movement out here since then. And a handful of earthquakes out in the vicinity of the Papua New Guinea area, Solomon Islands. Vanuatu did see a 4.9 earlier this evening as well. Far as the New Zealand area southward, or south to New Zealand, a couple threes stirring up out there, it looks like. Deep activity. So let's go check that out here real quick, see what's going on. And then we'll go from there. We got to go to these all magnitudes that are unnoticeable because of the magnitude and the depth of these earthquakes. Far as, see, look at this one, 189 kilometers deep there. That's well underneath the North Island, probably associated with the Hikurangi subduction zone there. Got to watch that because those deeper quakes could be leading to something bigger. I mean, it's there's a lot of areas out here across the planet that are overdue in terms of earthquake activity. It's been a little while since the Hikurangi has seen any major movement. Another 2.4, 116 kilometers deep. So the deeper quakes there definitely need to be watched. 194 for that one, 6 hours ago for a 3.1. So it looks like definitely things wanting to stir up there underneath the North Island area. Just be on guard. I don't know why they blocked me. That's kind of weird. All right, anything else going on as far as major movement goes? This from this morning, not a whole lot going on there. One earthquake out in Italy this afternoon, 4-pointer, but they've been having a decent amount of earthquake activity here recently, as noted on the earthquake 3D globe. Up and down the area of Italy, looks like a little swarm going on there. And up on the ice, up in the Iceland area, got a 3-pointer and a 2.9, but I guarantee you there's a little bit more than that stirring up out here. Let me refresh this, make sure I got the most recent updated map. 58 earthquakes here in the last 12 hours. And, you know, kind of watching this here because these rift zones are definitely showing some elevated earthquake activity. And when that happens, well, what happens when you separate the plates out here? You get some further potential push of magma into the area from below. And definitely a decent swarm out here southwest of Grindavik across this rift zone. That we'll continue to watch. Not a whole lot going on specifically across Grindavik now, but you know, prior to the eruptive activity here earlier this month, we did see some decent earthquake activity out here. So maybe you know, maybe just a start here to seeing something pop up once again there in the Grindavik region, just outside of Grindavik. Hopefully, don't need any more activity within the town there. Let's see here. Goodness, that's a whoa. It looks like they've, is that another one coming in? 2232. Yeah, so that one looks like it just came in here. So there was a 3.9, 4.3 is what I just covered. Now there's a 4.7. What? Right? That's the newest one here. 4.7, 2 kilometers deep, same area, but a little bit further south here, right? A little bit further south of the Fall City area. Something's going on out here. Some ponds out here, but you can see these holding tanks, some decent ones out there as well. And you know, it doesn't take a satellite image to tell you what's out there. You can see it obviously for yourself on the satellite, but quite a few names out here being thrown in terms of oil field operations. So it looks like something is happening out here. The question is, how much bigger can they get? Either way, that's definitely some interesting activity taking place out here southwest of San Antonio. Decent amount of earthquake activity. Yeah, they're definitely looking a little bit stronger there. So strains definitely, obviously, across the North American plate, but specifically around this area, it looks like. I'm sure someone felt that. I mean, 4.7, that's a little bit bigger. It looks like some folks around San Antonio felt that earthquake as well. Goodness. All right, so hopefully nothing bigger happens. I know they can get up in the 5 range when we get some of these oil fields really going. So just got to be safe out there. Space weather activity, a little bit of flaring going on here It looks like from our departing sunspot out here, maybe the sunspot area up here on the northwestern quadrant showing some sea flare activity, but for the most part, the threat level has diminished now that the active regions are across the western limb there and out of sight, out of mind. Still showing 99% chance for a C flare, M flare 60%, X flare around 15% or so, but we're really not expecting much following this recent activity. Things are looking for the most part stable. I'm really not seeing anything out here that's showing any type of growth out here within the sunspots. A quick look here at our storm system on the west coast. That's coming in later tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, right? Tomorrow, Saturday. And then another stronger system as we head early into the first part of next week. That's going to bring in some flooding concerns. It looks like we might have a little break after that before some more. Look at that collision there of a cold system and some subtropical moisture coming up. That should be a dandy of a storm if that rings true. And then we'll just kind of see how that plays out. But March, typically we get some pretty wet winters out here in March. So we'll probably continue that, at least according to the forecast out here. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here and kind of see what's going on there with that activity. Not only in Texas, but a strange earthquake swarm occurring underneath. I think it's specifically this one right here. And like I say, I don't know exactly why a solar farm would create earthquakes. Doesn't make sense, right? Unless there's something else going on out here. So, all right. I'm out of here, folks. Have yourself a good night. We'll catch you guys back out here on this beautiful blue planet a little bit on the later side tomorrow morning, Saturday morning update. Take care, folks.